Alrighty. That ought to be enough groups and stuff. Boo. Mute that. You guys can hear me. Rich Ed says new Charvels look good. I have not seen them yet. I mean, Charvels haven't really changed much the last few years, but I've seen a lot of other friends of mine on YouTube have been posting videos. New Charvel lineup, new Ibanez lineup, and unfortunately I haven't gotten around to watching any of them. So I will check them out here later this week, or maybe hopefully this weekend anyway. And then offer my thoughts. I'm still mad that Charvel quit making the Desolation series, so I don't know why they discontinued those. That was one of the best value guitars that they ever made. So, I discovered that, hell does freeze over because the Browns beat the Steelers in the playoffs last week, which was a complete shock. Let's see. Whoa. Whoa. Let's see. I have discovered that cheap USB mics are apparently not as popular as I had thought that they were, because I've got two of them for sale and I can't seem to get rid of either one of them unless people, other than people asking me to give them away for for next to nothing. There's probably been a few other things that I have discovered that I meant to mention here at the top of the live stream and just haven't gotten to yet. That I have forgotten about at the moment, but I'm sure will come back to me. So, let's see. Michael D's here. Jeff 7. What's up, fellas? Cleveland must be celebrating. Well, of course they're celebrating. I think Cleveland is officially Loserville in the United States. I think they are the major city, major sports city that they are now in. Well, no, I take that back. That's not true. The Cavs won. They were Loserville before the Cavs won a few years ago. But other than the Cavs, they haven't won a championship in close to a century, I think. But I forgot about that. So I forgot about the Cavs with old LeBron, but who's no longer there. But so I guess that makes San Diego Loserville now. And I don't know if the Padres are the only team they've got left, I think. So I think that makes San Diego Loserville. Boy, but regardless, I mean, the Browns have consistently been like one of the worst teams in football for decades. I mean, I think their last playoff appearance period was like 15 years. I don't know what their last playoff win was. Probably about the same time. I think they beat the Bengals. Who beat the Bengals when Dick LeBeau was the head coach there, which was close to 20 years ago, if memory serves. Anyway, where are we? Let's see. Charles 75N, Michael Mansour, Brian S. What's up, folks? Oh, man. I am glad the weekend is here. Very glad the weekend is here, so. Iggy Plateau says, I'm fine as long as I don't see Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. They've got more of a shot now than I thought they were going to at the beginning of the season, but I don't think I don't think they can beat Green Bay. So I don't think you got anything to worry about. Don B is here. So did you check out the PRS launch video? I did not. I did not. It was, I know, I'm sure it's probably up on YouTube or something by now. I think they were streaming it live from their website or something like that. I can't recall exactly, but I don't know where it was being set up, but it's basically their, a lot of companies are doing that right now because of lack of a NAMM show this year. So, but I haven't seen it. I saw the highlights. There's a new Mark something or other, some guy I'd never heard of, a new signature model for that dude. That's kind of sort of, sort of in a way, and leaning towards the direction of the Silver Sky, but it's more of a super Strat instead of like a Strat style guitar. Um, there. I think there was that, and I think there was there's a new limited edition finish for the Silver Sky that I saw. And those seem to be the highlights anyway. So those seem to be the highlights for PRS anyway. I think Charvel has done something similar. Ibanez launched a new line. I think I've seen posts from ESP or about ESP rather. Stuff like that. So there's been a lot of those things posted, and I haven't had a chance to see any of them, to be honest. So most of them are going on during the week. Like they all seem to pop up like right in the middle of the day. When I'm working my full time job, and I don't. Unfortunately, I don't have a full time job where I could just drop what I'm doing and go watch YouTube videos for an hour if I feel like it. Brian S says Chiefs Packers and the Super Bowl is my pick. That's kind of the direction I'm leaning to. I still don't think anybody in the AFC can beat the Chiefs. I don't see it happening. Buffalo looks good. They knocked off my Colts last week, though barely. And really, the Colts don't have anybody to blame for that but themselves, to be honest. Bastards. I shouldn't say that, but regardless, the Buffalo's got a pretty good team, but I still don't think they're going to be good enough to beat Cleveland or beat Kansas City. Michael Mansour says, "Is Winter NAMM still happening with COVID-19 amongst us?" No, they canceled Winter NAMM back in. God, I think they canceled that back in like April and May of last year. So yeah, there is no NAMM show this year. Everything NAMM or NAMM related is all going basically online launches, online streams and launches and stuff of their of companies' new product lines, and so basically find the company, find the brand whose products you're interested in, seeing when they're announcing their new product 2021 product launches if they haven't already, and then see where they're announcing it, be it YouTube or their own websites, whatever it is. So, and that is going to be the NAMM show this year. No, I think having a NAMM show with this COVID stuff would be a really bad idea. I mean, people come home sick as hell from that thing, from Namthrax every year as it is. You throw a virus on top of it that seems to like to accelerate other pre-existing conditions that might already be there, and that could be really dangerous, and could harm and possibly kill a lot of people. So no, I think they absolutely made the right call by canceling NAMM this year. Let's see. Wrenchheads, what's your day job? My day job is selling music gear, for kind of similar to what my my YouTube gig is, except I sell primarily to commercial accounts, big churches and music venues and bars and restaurants and pro level studios and touring artists and stuff like that. So I don't deal too much with the consumer level. Occasionally I do, but that's not my primary job. Sometimes a regular consumer finds their way to me. I take care of them. I'm not going to turn anybody away, but that's not what my primary job is. So, Brian S. says, my Colts too. Hey, another Colts fan here. So they had it down there 3 times and they came away with no points. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't believe it. Going for it on fourth. I can't get too mad at him for going for it on fourth down, man, because that's worked for him all year long. They converted on fourth down. Probably better than any other team in the league. And the truth is, I mean, going for it on fourth down is becoming a lot more common now than it used to be. So, it used to be fourth down hit, and you weren't where you needed to be. Even if it was only a yard or two left, you punted, end of story. But now, and really Frank Reich has kind of been the front runner of doing this. But now it's punting on fourth down is not a guarantee. So. The Colts, and like I said, the Colts have been very, very good at that. Not just this year, but the last couple of years. So I'm not going to get mad at him for that. Ricky Compton's here. Brian says Rivers back next year, or do the Colts move on? Honestly, I hope they re-sign him. I hope they do. I hope they do re-sign him and keep him around for another year. And the reason why is because they drafted that Eason kid this past year, but he was a 4th-round pick. I mean, he was never going to be. They never drafted him to be a starter. They drafted him to replace their backup Jacoby Brissett, whose contract is up, and he's likely going to go elsewhere especially if he can get a starting job somewhere else. So we're probably going to lose Brissett. Eason's going to replace him as a backup. There is nobody entering the draft, no quarterbacks entering the draft that I think are really worth a shit. And if they are, it's only marginal. Certainly not anybody. Not the next Andrew Luck by any means. And even if I'm wrong about that, the Colts are far down enough in the draft. They don't have a prayer getting them anyway. So. So there's nobody entering the draft worth getting. I mean, you could sign it. You could sign another vet off the free agent market. Matt Stafford or Matt Ryan or somebody like that if they come available. But but the truth, Rivers is just as good, if not better, than both of those guys. And Rivers already knows the offense now, and has rapport built up with those receivers. So I say you sign Rivers for another year, maybe even 2. Just to sign him for one more year to have him lead the charge in 2021, and maybe keep him around for 1 year after that if you end up drafting somebody in 2022 and you want Rivers to mentor him, either as a backup or whatever, similar to what the Colts had Matt Hasselbeck do with Andrew Luck. So. If it were my decision, that's probably how I would go about it. But I'm not Chris Ballard. He announced just the other day he's not real sure what they're he said they're keeping their options open. They're at quarterback position right now, which means they don't know what the hell they're going to do yet. Ricky Compton says, "Hey Robert, I see Fender finally put stainless frets on a Strat, but for a price. I didn't see that. What Strat model they put stainless frets on? So, and honestly, it's about time that they did. I mean, it makes sense that it's, I don't know what the price increase would be, or if it's, if they just did it on an American Professional or an Ultra or something like, a model out of one of their existing production lines, or if it's a signature model or, whatever it is, but." I mean, it makes, I mean, if they did it for, if there's a price increase, of course there's a price increase because stainless steel frets are more expensive. There's a reason they're more expensive. They're a lot, they last a lot longer. Honestly, they should have been using stainless steel frets on a lot of stuff a long time ago. Almost $1,000 more. All right, yeah, that's a little much. I'd have to see what model it is, but it's for that kind of, it's got to be a signature model. EVH used to put stainless. Shit, where'd it go? EVH used to put stainless on their specials. I see they stopped that. That I don't know. I do not know. I haven't. I haven't played an EVH guitar in quite a while, and I mean they're they're great guitars, but there's never anything about them that made me just say I've got to have one of these. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's an Eddie Van Halen signature, and I think the world has, as much as I love Eddie Van Halen, the world has enough Eddie Van Halen clones out there. Brian S says, I hope they re-sign him too. Other than the Jacksonville game and the Packers game, he played pretty well. I'd say he played real well. I mean, the Jacksonville game, first Jacksonville game, that was his first game. That was the first game of the year. And his first team, his first game playing not in a Chargers uniform. So it makes sense for things to be a little off in that game. It sucks it was against one of the worst teams in the league, but yeah, they had some growing pains, as all teams do. But yeah, no, for the most, I mean, threw over 4,000 yards and 20 something, almost 30 touchdowns or something like that. I think it was. Those numbers aren't bad. And his interception numbers went way down from what they were with the Chargers. So, I think he has Frank Reich to thank for that. Brissett doesn't impress me. He's a decent enough. He was actually, when he was our starter that one year, the first half of the year that he was the starter, he was actually doing pretty well and putting up some pretty decent numbers. I mean, he was cranking out 300-yard games pretty consistently. But then he got hurt, and then when that happened, then his numbers tanked, and the Colts realized that they can't rely on him. So, but as a backup quarterback, he's actually pretty valuable. So. Brian S. says, I'm hoping the Colts can get the Alabama quarterback. That reminds me of Manning. He's so smart. I know nothing about him, and as much as I follow the NFL religiously, I cannot get into college football to save my life. So I don't know anything about him. Nick Saban's usually usually knows what he's doing when it comes to recruiting quarterbacks, though. So you may be onto something. Ricky Compton says our team here sucks. The Detroit Lions blow. I think they just fired they just fired Matt Patricia, didn't they? I know they're on the hunt for a new head coach this year, which I guess that job is actually pretty attractive to a lot of people looking for a head coaching gig. From what I was reading the other day, which seems to indicate that Stafford's not going anywhere. Brian S. says Ballard has done a nice job to date last couple of drafts in the free agency. The defense is becoming great. All the offense needs to do is keep pace and not turn it over. I agree. I'd never ever thought the Colts would have the stud defense that they have now. And I agree with everything you just said. I think Chris Ballard has been a kick-ass general manager. A far cry from the guy that he replaced. I don't know that I'd say he's Bill Polian yet, but he seems to have the same eye and the same kind of mindset that Bill Polian did. The Ultralux. Okay, so the Ultralux Strat, I'm assuming, is what you guys are talking about, that has the stainless steel frets. $22.99. That's Gibson Les Paul. Not quite getting up in a Gibson Les Paul. Gibson Les Paul standard prices anyway. But I mean, I don't know. You think about it. I mean, chances are it's probably got a lot of the same specs as the Ultra series. The Ultra Strat. The Ultra Strats. That thing's $2,000. So another, a couple $300 above that for stainless steel frets. That's, I can get on board with that. maybe a little bit much, but you know, the other thing considered, $22.99. I mean, most people aren't going to pay $22.99 for that guitar. You know, they're going to do what most people do these days, which is wait for a coupon or a discount or something. Doc Amos Roxy says, any Colts fans, refer me to a guitar channel. A guitar channel there. Matter of fact, my good friend Scott Manning is working on getting his guitar channel up and running. Matter of fact, if you go to my channel in the community tab, I shared a link to his most recent video there. And I encourage you all to go check out Scott's channel because here in Indianapolis, where I live, this is the 12th largest city in the country. And about 2 million people live in Indianapolis and surrounding areas. And those 2 million plus people, there's quite a few great guitar players. And of those great guitar players, Scott's one of the best. So seriously, go check it. It'd mean a lot to me if you went and checked out his channel. So I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. And I think you will like what you see. Let's see. Divinity Guitars is here. Archer, OG. I think I've got everybody here at the moment. Doc Amos Roxy says, I have a guitar in my hand, not a football. What channel is this? Well, it's the same channel it always is, but the truth is I actually have more interest besides guitars, and the topic of football came up, so we talked about football for a little bit. It's my live stream. I can talk about whatever I want, to be honest with you. Let's see. Archer's here, says good afternoon, hope all is well in the South. I'm not in the South. Starting to snow again here in the Great North. Yes, it's, if I lean back, you can see out my window, and it's, see it's actually snowing right now. So, yeah, no, this is not the South. OG says the guitar industry is like the golf industry. New club every year to make you play better or look shiny, new color. However, if you do that in America, change my mind. It's maybe not quite to the extreme. You're right. In the golf industry, you're right. Nike and God, I play golf and I can't think of any freaking golf brands. TaylorMade and Titleist and all those brands, all, you're right, come out with a brand new set of the the latest and greatest highest technology design golf clubs. New set of those every single year. So in in that industry, last year's model actually means last year's model, which and you're right, there's not that much of a difference between last year's model and this year's model. So the guitar industry, the guitar companies generally give it a few years before they do a refresh or before they discontinue something and move on or whatever it may be. So, yeah, so it's not quite to the same extreme as the golf industry, but. But sometimes, but they, of course, new companies are always trying to come out with new products, and that's an any industry. New products that are going to attract more customers or entice their current customers to spend more money with them. So, That's just how business works. And honestly, I think as consumers, we want new products. We get, even, we get sick of using the same things over and over and over again for the most part, for too long. Eventually we want something new just because we want something new. Uh, Les Paul Standards, $24.99 with a set neck, carved maple top, all mahogany. Who can a Strat be $22.99? I don't know. Haven't seen the specs. Other than, assuming that's the one you guys are talking about with stainless steel frets, but beyond that, that is all I know about it. But I mean, that wouldn't be the first time that they put out a Strat in, the $22.99 range. I mean, that's not unusual. It's not like it's $3 or $4 grand. That would be stupid. Dumac in the super chat. Thank you, sir. Says, hey Robert, any suggestion for an affordable pedal platform amp looking to make Angry Driver my main sound? Cheers. Affordable pedal platform. I don't know. Especially with an Angry Driver. Off the top of my head, Marshall DSL series. Depending on what kind of wattage you're looking for. If you need practice levels, or if you need, if you're looking to gig with it, or something that you can do both with it. I mean, I'd probably go Marshall DSL, to be honest. So, great pedal platform, great, and they do a lot more than that. Or the Marshall Origin series. Those are designed specifically as those are basically kind of like, they're like affordable plexis that were designed to be pedal platforms. Those are actually great pedal amps. So probably somewhere in there, among others. Anyway, there's a lot of things out there that could fit that description. I still love my Randall Diavolo head for that, for that very purpose. That thing's got a great clean channel. Brian S. says, wife grew up in Broad Ripple. I grew up in Kokomo, but lived in Indy for 20 years. Used to drive limos there. Remember Indy Connection limo? I do. Are they not still around? I don't know. I guess I don't know if they're. I don't rent limos very often, so I know Cary Limo's still around, but they're a huge company, and then there's a couple of other really really small companies. But I guess I remember the Indy Connection ads and stuff, and I guess I just assumed they were still around, but I could be wrong. Brian Etsy, the owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay, is a guitar collector. He's probably one of the biggest guitar collectors in the world. To be honest with you, his collection is unbelievable. I don't know if I've seen most of it, but I've seen a lot of it. He loaned out a lot of it to. If you're not from Indianapolis, there's a big museum downtown called the Idle Jorg, and a few years back they had a huge exhibit. It was called Cars and Guitars, and so it had a fair amount. It was basically it was all about it was all vintage cars and stuff owned by famous people, and all kinds of instrument guitars, some famous guitars, like a couple of Rick Nielsen's hammers were there, like the double neck, one of his double necks, and stuff like that. And it was a huge exhibit. I mean, it took. I went down there and saw it with my mom one day, and it took like 2.5 hours to get through the whole thing. So, if you stopped and looked at everything like I did, And Jim Irsay actually had loaned a lot of his collection for that exhibit. So there was more than just his collection that was on display there, but the Irsay collection accounted for a large chunk of it. Let's see. Alex Thorpe is here. Archer says, okay, question. Looking at my first V, 96 Jackson King V string through. Guitar's mint. I've never played or owned a Jackson. What are your thoughts? Jackson guitars are great, depending on which model it is. I mean, from that era, if it's the 90s, if it's a USA or if it's made in Japan, professional series or something like that, build quality should be pretty good. I personally wouldn't own a Jackson V if it wasn't a neck through body. But the only bolt-on Jackson I would own would be a Dinky. But that's just my personal preference. The rest of those were designed originally as neck throughs. But yeah, no, Jackson make great guitars. If it's your, if it's your first V, don't be expecting to buy it and be able to sit down and practice comfortably with it. That ain't gonna happen. They don't do that very well at all. Some people are able to get used to it, but I would rather not have to get used to that and actually have something I can sit down and play comfortably with. So I've kind of got a love-hate relationship with V-shaped guitars for that reason. Robert, you should do your Schecter guitar collection someday. Do you have some nice ones? I only have two. I've got the green, aqua green CR6 that you guys see a lot, and I've got my matte black gray blackjack SLS that you guys, I used to use that one a lot more than I have lately, but those are the only two Schecters that I own. How's your Chapman guitars been? They both held up real well. Very well actually. So I find myself using that baritone more than I thought I was going to, and as a matter of fact, I find myself using both of them more than I thought I was going to. They're not go-to guitars for me, but if I need that ultra low baritone tuning, that's obviously that's the one I grab, and it's the only one. It's the only baritone guitar that I own, so of course it's gonna be the one that I grab, but I enjoy grabbing it. So it's not like it's a lack of a better option kind of thing. It's filled that niche exactly the way that I wanted it to, and the same with the traditional, which is the Strat style model. If I need a Strat, a Strat or a Strat sound, that's been the one that I grab and one that I actually enjoy playing. And will I spend money, more money on a nicer American-made Strat one of these days? Yeah, probably, but it's not going to be anytime soon. And in the meantime, that guitar sounds great. So, sounds great, plays great. No, I've been real happy with them. "95% of the population in Ontario are south of me, so I consider you in the south." Okay, fair enough. Yep, I am south of Ontario, but maybe not as far south as you may have thought. The new Ultra Lux, it's basically the Ultra Strat from the last release with stainless steel frets. Yeah, so it's an Ultra Series Strat with stainless steel frets, which is, adds on, tacks on another couple $100. Ryan13 says, "Yo, Robert, greetings from New Jersey." What's up, man? Greetings from Indiana, where the Colts are no longer in the playoffs. So now we just watch football too. And, just for the joy of watching football. I did win my fantasy football league this year, though, which is shocking because I had the shittiest team in the league, shittiest team I've ever had. And all of a sudden, at the tail end, I went on like a 4-game winning streak. And, just miraculously, you look at my numbers compared to everybody else's in the league, and you ask yourself what I asked myself: how did this team win? And it was pure luck. So, Yeah, I'm a since Doc Amos Roxy already bounced because we were talking football in here, so I'm probably just gonna keep. I mean, not I'm not we're gonna talk Guitar Gear too, but I'm probably gonna throw in some football references here over the next hour and a half. Just because he said he was gonna check back later, and honestly I think it'd be fun to piss him off. Because I don't like people telling me what I should and shouldn't be talking about. As it's convenient for them. Uh, Brian, this is not just Strat. There's an Ultralux Telly and other models too. It's a series. Okay, so it's an entire series. Ultralux. So it's the Ultra. So the Ultralux series is the Ultra series of stainless steel frets. Okay, I will need to dig into that a little bit more. Ricky Compton says the origin ain't bad. I have the 50-watt head. I've been putting off buying one of those for myself for a while, but the truth is, I need another amp around here. Like I need a hole in my head, and I don't want to spend. I really don't want to spend any more money on. Certainly don't want to spend any more money on amps until I get that guitar room straightened out and the computer built for it that I want to build. And I need to sell a few other things first in order to accomplish that. Though it's as soon as people start buying the shit that I got for sale, then that process will go a little bit quicker, and then I can focus more of my efforts into acquiring that stupid Les Paul that I want, and still has eluded me. But I'm determined I'm going to buy that thing this year. Let's see. Any Connection was bought out by Carrie. I didn't know that. Makes sense. Carrie Limos is huge. Ricky Compton says if you can find a JCM 900 Mark III, they're not bad, or a JCM 900 4100. I both and like them both and love them. I like the 2100 a little better. I love the JCM 900s. I've always loved the JCM 900s. You guys know I own a dual, 4100 dual reverb myself, and that's my favorite amp. But I will say that I wouldn't call it the best pedal platform in the world. It seems to be really, really temperamental with some pedals more so than others. So I mean, there are some pedals that sound good through it, but there's other pedals that just, it just doesn't seem to want to take well for some reason. I don't know why. Now, I mean, I guess, it was really never designed as a pedal amp, especially back in 1990. Brian S. says he has Beatles guitars and drums, music, transcripts, all kinds of stuff. Ringo's drums, he has Ringo Starr's drums he played on the Ed Sullivan Show. That is true. Jim Irsay owns a lot. A lot of his collection also consists of rock and roll memorabilia. He owns Prince's Cloud guitar. He owns Jerry Garcia's Tiger guitar. He owns, what was the other one he bought? He bought Gilmore's Black Strat. He bought Gilmore's Black Strat. I think that was the most recent one that he got, among many, many others. Yeah, but his collection does, as I said, also include a lot of rock and roll memorabilia, stuff like you just mentioned. Zebra Standard says, do they have any? Oh, that's a troll. Never mind. Brian Ed says he has Lynn's Gretsch. He could. Wouldn't surprise me. Archer says, my 14 Fender Stratocaster LTD made from the Orford cedar is over $3,000 Canadian, but didn't pay that by a long shot. But was surprised to see an asking price for over $3,000. Now, an asking price doesn't determine a value. As we all know people can ask whatever they want. The trick is finding a transactional one of those that one of those is, figure out what somebody actually paid for one. So. And that will be a better measuring stick of what the actual value is. How long before the new guitars actually hit the market with COVID? I'm thinking fall before we see many of the new releases. That varies from one manufacturer to the next. Some companies are pretty well prepared, and they start shipping at the end of January. Ibanez and some oftentimes like Epiphone's pretty good about that. And then there's other companies like ESP. They announce something at NAMM, whatever it may be. It's and then NAMM. The NAMM acronym lives up to its name. Which is NAMM. A lot of people say it stands for not available, maybe may. And then sometimes it stretches out even farther than that. Let's see. Doc Amos Roxy says, still Colts? Damn. 308 Media Mike says, good morning, Robert. Port Moody, Canada. Football, Las Vegas Raiders. Still can't get used to that, man. I'm still so used to, calling them Oakland. Good to see Vegas finally get a pro sports team, though. I guess they got the, they got the Knights, the hockey team, a couple years ago now. But it's only been in recent years that Vegas finally had a pro sports team. Ricky Compton says, Robert, it's your channel, football or guitars, all good here. Football, guitars, wrestling, Mexican food, occasional PS4 Zoe, PS4, PS5 video game. Oh, hey, no. Sorry, guys. That was loud. She saw somebody out there walking their dogs down the sidewalk. So that's what she freaked out about. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It's my channel, it's my live stream, and it's, I can talk about whatever I want on my channel. I'm not forcing anybody to watch it or listen to it. Let's see. Uh, 308 Media Mike says, like number 16, who hasn't hit the button? I don't know who hasn't hit the button. But there, Dumac was the first one to crack open the super chat there earlier, though. So that I am grateful for. I'm also grateful for the likes and the subscribers and all that kind of stuff as well, though. So. JCM 900 SLX 2500 100 watt. I thought the 2500 was the 50 watt and the 2100 was the 100 watt. That's from Mikey Gabbard. Ricky Compton says, my buddy has the SLX. It has an extra preamp tube in it, no clipping diode. That's basically what the SLX is. I mean, the SLX is literally a hot rodded plexi. which is where it gets its name. You know, the SL stands for super lead. You know, the X stands for, you know, that's obviously the hot rod indicator. So, yeah, that's literally what a 900 SLX is. So only 900 that doesn't have a clipping diode. That's not true either. The Mark III doesn't. I think the only 900s that do have the clipping diodes are the dual reverbs. So, you know, and that's not a bad thing. You know, it's just the way that particular amp happens to be designed. I mean, I love the sound of the dual reverbs. I don't care about the technology that was used to build it. Brandon Aldridge says, "How you doing today, Robert?" I'm good, sir. About yourself? Let's see. Ricky Compton says, "I have two." You got to talk amongst yourselves there. Okay. Cool Guitar Gear says, "Better be a great show. Have a good one." We'll see. I've already pissed off one viewer with football talk, so you know he came here to hear about guitars, and we just happened to be on the topic of Colts football and NFL playoff football, and so he's come and gone twice now, which I think is hilarious. Michael Rakes is here. Rusty's guitar. Triggerman 1982. Dennis O'Rourke. And speaking of Scott Manning, there he is. That's easy. So now, for those of you that were here a few minutes ago when I was talking about Scott's channel, now he's there in the chat. All you got to do is click on his name and go check out his channel. So, let's see. Christopher Morrow. Ricky Compton says, "I keep looking for a VHT Pitbull 100 for reasonable money. They haven't found it yet." Good luck, dude. I mean, used, even used, I don't think you're gonna find those going below much below about $1,400. So, I mean, those aren't cheap. VHT, Fryette, whichever era you're talking about, same amp, but. Rusty's Guitar says, "Thanks for all you do for the instrument we love and being real." I don't do anything for the instrument, my friend. I appreciate the sentiment, but there's absolutely nothing that I have done, for guitar other than sell them. Let's be realistic. I've always sold them a lot better than I've played them, which is kind of basically how this channel got started. So, but I appreciate it. And I appreciate your loyalty. Glad to have you. Pardon me. Triggerman 1982 says, "I'm just here listening, jamming some riffs, and eating Skittles." Let's see. Dennis O'Rourke is here. Robert, Dungeon Master. Oh boy. Sometimes when people call me shit like that, it makes me think I need to just change the damn name of this channel to my first and last name. Have you seen LTD's new lineup? I'm looking at that SN1000 FR2 suite. I haven't. Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier. I've seen a lot of announcements for guitar companies' new lineups. I haven't seen any of them yet. Honestly, I don't get real excited about NAMM stuff every year. If anything, it annoys the shit out of me just because working in music retail for as long as I have. I mean, it's the same thing every year, man. It's a lot of headache, and it's a lot of busy times. A lot of people asking questions that that you don't have the answers to yet, and people are. And then they ask again if you have the answers to yet, et cetera, et cetera. And, so it's, I don't hate the NAMM show or anything, but This, and I get, the people, there are, people love the NAMM show. People absolutely love the NAMM show. So, but yeah, I don't, and I'll check out with, all these new guitar lines, new guitar product lines and stuff here eventually. But, number one, this week they've all been announced and launched and live streamed and stuff, during the day when I've been working my full-time job. And, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of them. I can't keep up with it all. So, Brandon Aldridge says you got a vape. What is it? This is a Wismec R80 cheapo pod device thing. I paid about $30 for. I'm actually trying to get off of it. I just backed off. Just cut my nicotine level in half this week. So, Michael Rake says the clipping diode is the stupidest argument. If it sounds right, it sounds right. Who cares what drives the preamp section? I heard the dumb argument saying they aren't valve amps. That's a solid state. Yeah, I agree. I think it's the stupidest. Basically, it's just people looking for a reason to bitch. Is all it is. Basically, it's a people looking. It's a reason for Marshall fanatics. Looking for a reason to bitch and validate their own Marshall amps. The 800s and the Plexis and the Mark III 900s and stuff. Basically, they people just want to know. They want to be able to validate that their gear is better than everybody else's. And it's a big dick waving contest. Is all it is. So. Let's see. Scott Manning says, "Thanks, Robert. Who are you rooting for today? Ebenezer Jackson, Packers, or Bills?" Ebenezer Jackson. I don't know, man. I've always tend to lean more towards more in the Jackson direction, but I don't know. Ebenezer's got some pretty intriguing designs out lately as well. Though I admit I haven't owned either one of them in quite some time. Other than I still got my Xiphos, but that guitar's not going anywhere. But that guitar was built over 15 years ago. Packers Bills. I think the Packers are going to win. I think the Bills are probably going to win, but if the Bills win, I don't think they're going to get past the Chiefs. So Packers could very well make it to the Super Bowl. Archer says, "You are the ringmaster. Talk about whatever you want." It's kind of how I feel about my own live stream. Kiss Poster says, "Thanks for all you do. I have learned so much." My pleasure, sir. That's ultimately is my goal with this channel is to pass along knowledge. So sometimes that doesn't always work out that way, but that's the end goal. Doc Amos Roxy says, "Hey, just tuned in twice. I heard comments related to me. I support you financially for several months. I interact on your live feeds just every time today. I tuned in Colts. You tuned in Colts and you complained about it. And quite honestly, it's if you don't want to hang out, don't want to listen to football talk. That's fine. But click on and move your own. I don't understand the reason. The need to bitch is what I'm saying. So I mean, if you're not into football, that's fine. It's okay. I'm not trying to convert anybody into football fans. It just happened to come up and we talked about it, and and if you're going to complain about it, I'm going to make fun of you for it. I'm sorry. See, Ronnie Webster's here. I think I said hello to you, but maybe I did. I can't recall. Mikey Gabbard says I found a killer Craigslist deal a few years back, and got my JCM 900 SLX matching 1960 cab with a road case, all for $900. Not a bad deal. Christopher Morrow says, "No, you're not much for tinkering, but I just ordered a pedal kit called a T-filter. It's a one-knob jobby that's supposed to sound like a Kakwa. So I guess you could call it a preamp or an EQ. Sounds like it. I'm not familiar with it. As you said, it's not really my thing, but But that is kind of sounds like that's the direction that would be leaning in. Let's see. Ronnie Webster says, "Have you checked out any of the Joyo band amps?" Shit. I thought I had one sitting next to me. I have. I've actually demoed 2 of them on my channel. I demoed the Jackman a few months back, and I just demoed the Zombie, which actually, now that I think about it, that video hasn't gone up yet, so you guys won't see that for another couple of weeks. And I like them. I like them quite a bit. They're I think they sound great. I've actually got both of mine listed for sale now, just because I did those demos for free, and I'm never going to use those things again. They sound great, but they're just, I've got so many other amps laying around, that those are never going to be the ones that I grab. So, but no, I think Joyo band amps are excellent. I like them quite a bit. Excellent amps, especially for the money. $160 or so it cost brand new. And I guess the new, the XL series, which are supposed to, I haven't tried any of those yet, but those look better, although they are a little bit more expensive. So, yeah, no, I like the Joyo band amp stuff quite a bit. Dennis O'Rourke says, "Robert, are you boxing fan or UFC? I think Deontay Wilder is finished. Share your thoughts if you're into that stuff." I don't get into boxing, really. I was into UFC there for a little bit, back in the Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, rivalry days, which was, what was that, 10, 15 years ago now? I was really into those guys, but, I didn't keep up with it, because it's easier now, but back then, in order to keep up with it, you had to order, you had to buy the pay-per-view every month, and those things got expensive, especially for me back in those days. So, I didn't really follow them too much. So, I didn't follow them for too long. They're great sports, but I'm too much of a diehard pro wrestling fan that that my love for pro wrestling kind of fills that niche for me, I guess. Brian S. says, "NAMM show is dead. It was on the way out before COVID. It's entirely too expensive for most companies to attend with the internet. They could do it themselves." I don't know about that. I mean, it may be on its way out now because of COVID, but before then, no. I mean, just ask Gibson, ask Gibson what happened the year that they decided they weren't going to show up. Not only did they hear about it from the entire community, but that just pushed them down the bankruptcy road even faster. And because Gibson remember Gibson were trying to be this music lifestyle company, so they decided instead of going to the NAMM show, they would go to CES that year instead, the Consumer Electronics Show. CES, NAMM show's big, CES is huge, and I get that, but at the end, trying to market Gibson as a music lifestyle company never worked. They're a guitar company. We know it. That's what they've always been. So investing in marketing in CES did not pan out for them well that year at all. And I agree that the interwebs, have enabled companies to market themselves a lot more efficiently. But I mean, the other thing that goes on at the NAMM show that doesn't go on with the online streams and stuff is the face-to-face networking. And when Josh Scott meets with Yuri Ikigamo from Boss, and they have an idea, let's work together, let's do something, and then before we know it, the Boss Angry Driver comes out, right? That's the kind of stuff that's the important stuff that nobody talks about that goes on at the NAMM show. That's why conventions are so important. And that's where artists go, and and they introduce themselves to the guys at Ibanez, and they get the ball rolling for their first endorsement deals. That's where fans discover, some hotshot new young guitar player that they've never heard of before because he's at the NAMM show demoing, this new guitar for Ibanez or whoever it may be, Um, I mean, the NAMM show is important. I don't want to talk like it's not important at all. In it, because it's about so much more besides just the product, the new product announcements. A lot of those companies, Brian Wampler will tell you, he releases a couple of things at the NAMM show, Winter NAMM, just to say that he does, but for the most part, he doesn't mess with any new release stuff until later in the year, just so he doesn't have to mess with it at NAMM. But he's there for all the other stuff, right? So, and he knows he knows the industry, he knows what he's doing. So is the NAMM show dead? No. Is it still relevant? Absolutely. But as with everything else here in the last 10 months, it's just from a health risk standpoint, it's just too dangerous right now. So they made the right call by canceling it. Zoe, come on, lay down. Let's see. Where was I? Who else have I pissed off today? I want to try one also, the Hughes Kettner Spirit of Metal. That thing does seem pretty cool. I think it's just if I understand it right, it's just kind of a smaller, stripped down version of the Black Spirit. But I don't know. I haven't looked into that, but I like that. I like Hughes Kettner. I think they put out some cool stuff. Christopher Morrow says, if you're trying to get off the vape, look into Lucy. It's a gum. I think I've heard good things. Okay, I'll check it out. Make my wife happy. Ronnie Webster says just got the Zombie recently. Love it. Zombie's a good amp, man. It's as advertised. It sounds like a Mesa Boogie, which is what it's supposed to sound like. It does sound like a Mesa Boogie. Let's see. Doc Amos, I'm sure he unsubscribed at this point, which is too bad. But hey. Let's see. Ronnie Webster says I've checked out the videos from those. Oh, you're talking about the band amp. Yeah, well, you're not gonna be able to see the zombie video yet. That one doesn't go live for next week, I think. Well, another week or so. I can't remember. I've got like 6 videos right now that haven't gone up yet, and that's one of them. So. Archer says, looking for your Angry Driver demo before I pull the trigger on one and buy one. It's still going to be a little bit on that. I mean, I keep trying to get to it, and and honestly, other stuff, from companies keeps showing up for me to demo, and and I have to prioritize that stuff first. I just have to. I mean, it's fair to them. That's why they're sending it to me. They want me to get get videos up for their marketing purposes as soon as possible. So, I mean, it's so I've just got to get it. I just have to prioritize that stuff. So I try to get those knocked out first, and hopefully, with any luck, I can get to the Angry Driver video soon, because I know several of you want to see it. I wouldn't wait for my video on it, though, man. I just buy it. Dennis O'Rourke says Stone Cold was a beast back in '98. Stone Cold was absolutely a beast back in '90. Stone Cold probably saved WWE back, or then WWF back in the late '90s, '97 ish, because they were hanging on by a thread, and all of a sudden losing their asses to WCW back in the '90s, and they were going through some tough times, and finally it was. The Stone Colds and the Rocks, the Austin versus McMahon, saga. You know, Austin and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania '98. You know, but you know, it was Austin the Rock that revitalized WWE and really and launched the Attitude Era. Hmm. All right, she's not being obedient. Let's see. William De Silva says, I remember watching the first few UFC after that lost interest. Yeah, I guess that's kind of how it was with me, man. I lost interest in in UFC pretty quick. Brian S says Gibson can afford the name show smaller companies like Friedman's wasting money. I don't know if Friedman's all that small anymore. I mean they're still they've grown quite a bit, and now there's you got so many major artists that are using those things, and now they've got signature models for guys like Jerry Cantrell and Bill Kelleher and Steve Stevens, and big names. Friedman's not as small as it used to be, but you're right. For some really small companies, you're right. That's a pretty hefty expense. Mikey Gabbard said, "What's a music lifestyle company, anyways?" Exactly why that marketing plan didn't take off the way that Gibson hoped. Nobody knew what the fuck it was. I don't think anybody, still nobody knows. Let's see. Michael Rake says, have you ever tried or saw the TC Electronic Mimic pedal? Saw a video on it from TC Electronics. Seems awesome, especially if you use it in stereo amp setting, multi-track sound. Yeah, I mean, mine really. I've actually never tried one. I keep meaning to grab one just for various, recording purposes, because it would be nice to be able to double track, guitars like that with ease, or at least, use and record stereo with that feature. So, it'd be nice to have one. My understanding is it's virtually useless if you're not using it in stereo like that. So I don't know. I've never owned one. It's one of those things that is kind of in the back of my mind. I probably should pick up one of these days, but it's never been a priority. So Jack Roses is here. Says, do you remember when Guitar Center was selling Marshall fridge? Was selling a Marshall fridge. It looks like an amp, but it's a fridge. Yeah, I was still working. I was still working at the store when they came out with those fridges. I wanted one. I just couldn't justify $400 for a mini fridge. They're still out there. Matter of fact, I think Guitar Center still carries them. They're just not. It's more of an online order item now instead of a in-store item. But yeah, to my knowledge, they're still out there. They're still around. They're popular. I'd still like to have one for my, for my music room. That'd be awesome. But that's that's like I said, $400 for a mini fridge. That's a lot to swallow. Christopher Morrow says, I've been around for a few weeks, just catching up with on tips. Talk about whatever you heckin' want to, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. For those of you that don't get mad when I talk about anything but what you want to talk about. Stay Curious says, I just installed a Pearly Gates into my Telecaster, and wow, it's very bright. I have to completely drop the 750 hertz on my Mesa Boogie 4, Mark 4. Maybe I'll look into the Super Distortion or JB. The Pearly Gates is really really, Pearly Gates is kind of like, I think it's the one that's like a 57, or a 59, 59 model, but with a little more zing to it. The Pearly Gates was designed for Billy Gibbons, or designed with Billy Gibbons in mind, rather. So, it's kind of a brighter pickup. It's meant to go with more, like really, I would, kind of, mahogany body, like warmer sounding guitars, like that's a pickup Billy Gibbons uses in his Les Pauls, from time to time. So, take that with a grain of salt. If you want something warmer but similar output, you might just try the 59 model itself. It's 59's. It's an Alnico 5 magnet, but that one's a little bit warmer sounding. Ronnie Webster says, I upgraded from my audio box to an SSL2 this week, and I'm very happy with my decision. Yeah, those new solid state Logic interfaces actually are really, really good. Really good. If they come out with a larger, a larger like rack mount, like 18 input version of that down the road, I might be tempted to upgrade to that from my 18i20 here. I love this Focusrite. This thing's been great, but I'm not going to be upgrading interfaces anytime soon. But in the meantime, the solid state Logic interfaces do have gotten a lot of positive buzz. They did a good job with those. Ryan from the Midwest says, RGD, did you have any takeaways or thoughts on the PRS product launch? I didn't see it. It launched. I think it was in the middle of the day when I was working, and what I understood. I mentioned this earlier. What I understand, the highlights were the new Mark something or other, some dude I'd never heard of, signature model that's kind of sort of similar, sort of kind of in a way, like a take off of the Silver Sky, but instead of a Strat model, it's more like a Super Strat type of model. Near as I could tell. So that one, and the other highlight that I saw people talking about was a limited edition finish of the actual Silver Sky itself. So that was all that I saw. I like PRS guitars, but God, the things are something. I wouldn't be interested in any of them except for the core models, and those things are so expensive. So, yeah, a lot of product launches this week, and honestly, I missed just about every one of them. So, at least when they were happening, I need to go back and research it. Honestly, I apologize. I guess I probably should have done that before I turned on the camera today. I should have realized you guys are going to be asking me about it, because I didn't even think of it. Warren Scaly says, can I get a good upgrade to my Blues Junior 3 Fender speaker for around $100 Canadian? For that, in that price range, I would look at the Warehouse guitar speaker stuff. I don't know, the Veteran 30 would be the ones you want to go with, but like I think the ET65, I think is their creamback model. Might be a good one for that amp. Maybe the Reaper. So. But most of those speakers are pretty affordable, right in around that price range. It might be a little over that, but not much. Let's see. Triggerman 1982 says, "What did I miss? My Great Dane let one. Oh, his dog. Dogs being dogs. Stone Cold was the man back in the day. Yes, he was. I was and still am a huge Stone Cold fan. Dave Escobar's here. So just got off work. How goes? What's up, Dave? So we've talked some guitars, we've talked some football, we've pissed off a viewer for talking football, like a loyal viewer, probably like, I don't know if he unsubscribed or not. I gotta assume he did, just based on how how mad he was. Because he got mad because we were talking football and not talking guitar. So then I made fun of him for telling me what I should be talking about. And then we've talked about some guitar product launches and stuff that have gone on online this week that I missed out on, but still occurred anyway. That some of these other fine folks have gotten to participate in lieu of the NAMM show, and that's you should be pretty well caught up by now. Warren Scaly says, "What do you think about Billy Corgan owning WWE?" Billy Corgan doesn't own WWE. uh, I know he's always been a huge wrestling fan. I know that. Uh, my understanding is I think he has like a partial ownership, and I think it's Impact Wrestling, or it's one of the smaller promotions. I think he's got that he has partial ownership in. So, but like I said, it makes sense. He's been a long time. He's been a long time wrestling fan. Archer says, "Okay, just bought it. Be in next week." There you go, dude. Enjoy it. You will enjoy it. It's a great pedal. If you like the two pedals that it's based off of, there is no reason why you wouldn't like the Anchor Driver. Great pedal. Let's see here. Dave Escobar says, "Any new 2021 guitars you might want to get? I'm just sticking to buying used or waiting for good deals. New USA models are so expensive, over $200. Pedals seem too much money." I haven't seen anything that I've just got to have. To be honest with you, I already decided even before all this stuff. I'm saving my money. I'm buying that Les Paul Custom this year. That's the guitar that I want. So, once I have that, then I will maybe focus on some other stuff that comes out a little bit sooner. But I don't know. I also probably I need to spend some time and send some emails out to these guitar companies and see if they would let me demo some of this stuff for you guys as well. So I don't know. I guess that should probably be priority one before I think about buying anything for myself. Christopher Morrow says, "Thoughts on roller nuts and saddles on a non-trim guitar?" I've never tried it, to be honest with you, so I guess I can't say whether I guess I don't have any pros or cons to offer in that regards. I've never had I don't think I've ever tried a roller bridge, but I've played plenty of guitars with roller nuts on them, Fenders in particular, and I've never had any issues with them. They seem fine to me. William said, "Mark Lettieri, that's the guy that the new PRS dude signature model is. That's right. I don't know who he is. I'm not familiar with him, but." Scott Manning says, "I got a pearly gates in the neck of my neck position, my SG, and it's very smooth. Almost needs a bit more definition for me, at least in that guitar." Well, you would know before I would, I think, but I've always, especially with Gibsons, I've always liked the jazz model in the neck position myself. From the Seymour Duncan pickups, Gibson pickups, I actually really like the 490 in the neck, particularly in SG, 490 or the 57 Classic. Those are probably my two favorites. I hate, and I repeat, I hate burstbuckers. Can't stand them. Except for the Burstbucker Pro's okay, but Burstbucker 1, 2, and 3, garbage. I don't want them in anything. Ryan from the Midwest says everyone in the PRS chat want an SE Silver Sky and an MT100 amp, and they didn't release either. That is kind of surprising. I mean, I can see that, and there's a reason why everybody wants those things. I mean, the MT100, would be probably pretty affordable, man. Because I mean, the MT50, I mean, those are made in China. So I mean, a 100-watt version of the Mark Tremonti amp would, God, I think would sell like hotcakes. But if I know I'll bet you I know why they didn't do that. Because right now, everybody's looking for practice amps. Everybody wants small, low volume stuff they can play at home. Why? Because nobody's playing out anywhere. So it wouldn't surprise me if Paul's got that, in his back pocket ready to go, but he's not going to release it during a pandemic when everybody's stuck at home and nobody can use a 100-watt amp. And that's a smart thing to do. He's just going to shoot himself in the foot with that. Probably the same, I don't know, man. The Silver Sky, that one wouldn't surprise me. That you might see that one later this year, maybe Summer NAMM or something like that. I don't know. I'm just guessing. If they didn't release it for quote unquote Winter NAMM this year, then I got to assume it's something he's got on the back burner for down the road. He's pretty good at listening to what his customers want. He's pretty good about that. So if his customers are telling him they want an SE Silver Sky and they want an MT100, don't think he's not listening. Archer says, got to go. Mets kicking in. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Cool, dude. Have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out and enjoy the Meds. I don't know what they got you on, but sounds like it might be fun. Matt Stingray says, do you ever like the Carvin Legacy amps? Yeah, actually, I really like the Legacies, to be honest. I mean, they were kind of, I never owned one, but, I played through several. Man, I'm a huge Steve Vai fan anyway, so, obviously that's part of it. But I'm a huge Steve Vai fan. So, yeah, no, I think they sound great. No issues with the Legacies whatsoever. So, Jack Rosa says, Robert, did you ever see an Ovation 6-string first solid body guitar from 70 or 71? If you're talking about like the what was that thing called, the Breadwinner, the Ovation Breadwinner, which was this real weird pointy can opener looking thing, but they were actually pretty popular back then. You don't see them too often nowadays. But yeah, there's I know a few. I've ran across a few of them, and matter of fact, a buddy of mine who's a little bit older than me. He was, that was his main guitar back in, late 70s, early 80s. So he posted a picture of him as a kid playing that guitar, on Facebook a couple years ago. Yeah, those are, I'm not a big Ovation guy, but those are pretty cool. Dave Escobar says, I missed out on a Les Paul Custom Black in 1969, around 10 years ago. In the 90s, I bought a 79 Les Paul Custom Sunburst for $900. Wow. Should have bought that black one. It was $1,000. Wow. I can't believe, in the 90s? Wow. I would have thought even back then they would have been a lot more expensive, but I know you're talking about the used market, but still, I would still assume they would have been worth more back then. Guess I didn't realize how much time has gone by. Yeah, that's one guitar I've never had. It's not. There's not even one that I had a chance at buying that I wish that I did, but I didn't. It's not even one of those. It's every time I've saved up money to go buy that stupid Les Paul Custom. Something's gotten in the way before I had enough money saved up, or before I could buy it, or something like that. So, and I don't need a 57, Black Beauty reissue VOS, with a Bigsby, $8,000. I don't need anything like that. Just the Good old-fashioned production model, you know, Gibson Les Paul Custom in ebony. 2 humbuckers, stop tailpiece, you know, just the run of the mill. That's the one I want. You know, which is also of all the customs, that's actually the cheap one. That, you know, that, what are they, $46.99 right now or something? So $48.99. You know, fortunately, I won't have to pay that much for it, but still, even, you know, the price I can get one for is still, it ain't cheap. Breadwinner, Glenn Campbell, and guys on Hee Haw played those. That I didn't know. Matt Stinger says, speaking of Steve Vai, what do you think about the Jim Woody? I'm not familiar with it, so I have no thoughts to offer on it. Therefore, let's go do the Google. Ibanez Jim Woody. I'm guessing it's like a natural. Was it a natural colored Jim with a Steve Vai signature Woody? Well, there's a bunch of reviews, but no. WDP. Let's go to the Ibanez page. Oh yeah, that's right. That was the Nat. Yep, that's the one. I remember that one. Yeah, it was like that relic. Yeah, I mean, like, not relic, but it ain't for me. I mean, I'm number one. I'm not real big on natural finish guitars anyway. You know, is that mahogany? Or is that alder? Is that ash? That looks like ash. Actually, I don't know what the hell that is. Solid body. Rosewood top. Okay, rosewood top on a mahogany body, bolted to it. That's one of those novelty custom shop things that Ibanez did. You know, that probably, you know, that cost them, you know, about as much as any other gem would have cost them to build, maybe a little bit more, and then they could charge, you know, some five-figure price tag for it, and know that they're going to get it just because it's got Steve Vai's name on it. So, I mean, not the kind of thing I'd ever have to have. ASDF says, what's a good pickup upgrade for an Epiphone SG Pro? The stock ones to me seem a little lacking. I'm never very familiar with them, with what's out there for humbuckers. Now, if it were me, I would, you know, with Epiphones, I usually try to stick to the Gibson family. And, you know, for Gibson pickups, I've always liked the 57 Classic and 57 Classic Plus, the 496 and 500T, the Super Ceramic set, if you want something really high output. 498s, that's what they put in the Les Paul Customs and the SG Standards, and, or, you know, among others. Yeah, you know, I'd probably go one of those directions if it were me. So I don't have to have, you know, the latest and greatest fandangled custom shop pickup or anything like that. So. Michael Lou says, LOL, Glenn Campbell and Bee Gees did their ads for Ovation. I had one, didn't like how it felt in my abdomen. Yeah, those pointy guitars. It took me a while to get used to my BC Rich Mockingbird for that reason, because it was, you know, like you said, you know, the Warlocks especially, or even worse, you know, it'd stick you right there in the gut. And, you know, I forced myself to get used to it because I wanted to play those guitars because I still thought they were cool, despite the fact they weren't the most comfortable things to play in the world at first. But I got used to them. James Paiva, I don't know how you pronounce that. Says Ace from Kiss played a Breadwinner. When did he? It would surprise. I guess it would surprise me, but you know, when did he play Breadwinner? I mean, he's widely been known to use, you know, to play nothing but Les Pauls for 40, almost 50 years now. Are you answering to Bruce today because of the shirt? No, I'm not. This just happened to be a shirt that I had worn in a while, so just the one that wasn't on top in my t-shirt drawer, but it was as I was digging through my t-shirt drawers, the first one that I found that I decided I would enjoy wearing today. So here we are. No, I mean I admit, I've you'll never see me and Batman in the same place at the same time. I'm not saying I am Batman. I'm just saying you'll never see the two of us in the same place at the same time. Is all. Do with that what you will. All right, so wonder who all we 34 viewers. Kind of quiet today. I would think with the snow hitting the Midwest and anything else that's going on. I suppose football. I guess football's probably already started by now, hasn't it? I don't have my TV on yet. I'm gonna go watch the games here in just a little bit and watch the games, and then maybe go play the. I'm almost through with my Spider-Man game on PS4. Then I got to find something else to play after that. So, which I'm leaning more towards what's that, Star Wars Rebels or the Star Wars the Jedi Knights RPG thing that I may end up. Pardon me. I may end up playing next. I haven't decided yet. Or maybe I'll go back to Mortal Kombat for a little bit first. I don't know yet. But I'll probably, I don't know. I might finish the Spider-Man game this weekend. I thought I was going to finish it last weekend, but it turned out that wasn't quite, didn't quite work out that way. I'm almost all the way through it. So, Dave Escobar says grilling a steak in a few. I would be grilling a steak if my grill wasn't covered in snow right now. So, and I don't. Indiana, it's usually not a big deal. You can just brush the snow off the grill and and do your thing. But I'm originally from Texas, and that part of my Texas blood has never left me. And if it's snowing outside, I'm not in a hurry to go out there for anything if I don't have to. Mark Nestor said Ace played a breadwinner in the very early 70s, right before Kiss got together. Huh. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. I thought he was always a Gibson guy. Interesting. So, Charlie O's good 50, Osgood 52, I think it is. I'm looking at it a little bit closer. Charlie Osgood 52 says Robert's pouring in South Portland, Maine. What's happening with Guitar Center closing? Your thoughts? I need to do some more digging on the Guitar Center closing thing. I mean, I've heard about Times Square, and I heard about one other store someplace else in some other part of the country, somewhere I'd never heard of. I don't know if those are permanent or not, to be honest. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're not permanent. I mean, if they're, I'm sure they would have announced it a lot more than they did if it was a permanent thing. So it could have been a lot of times. What's been happening last year is, you see stores closing. And the thing in Manhattan, and it's probably what did happen, because Manhattan, that's a big store. I know the rent there is exorbitant, but that's a big store that's always done really, really well for them. And it was bullshit seeing a member of the Ash family, with a picture right next to the closing of that store at posting that shit online. That was that was pretty low class in my opinion. But anyway, back to my original thought here on that. A lot of times what has happened here recently is somebody, one of their staff, a store staff is test positive for COVID. And, to play it safe, Guitar Center will shut the entire store down, send everybody home for a couple weeks, just to make sure that, that it's, they're quarantined properly and nobody else gets it and it doesn't spread. So I have seen that happen for a few times, and it's, the more I'm thinking about it, it's more making me wonder if that's not what happened at Times Square and, whatever that other store is that I can't recall at the moment. So, Guitar Center closing. If you're referring to the bankruptcy thing, don't especially if you're hoping for Guitar Center to close, and I really hope you're not. But if you're in that douchebag crowd where you're rooting for people to lose their jobs, don't get too excited, because they're not going anywhere. I promise you. They're not going anywhere. The whole bankruptcy thing's over and done with and behind them now. So, Dave Escobar says New X is coming out with MG30 multi-effects processor, takes custom IR. I don't do multi-effects either, but it looks interesting. I think I've seen a little bit about that. I don't know a whole lot about it. Like I said, man, multi-effects, I'm with you, man. You know how I am. The multi-effects processors especially, man, they don't excite me. Everybody got all excited about that. What was that last one that came out? The Neural DSP, I think is what it was. If you like processors, it seems like a great product. I mean, I'm not knocking that kind of thing at all, but I don't have any use for them. They're just not for me. Am I out? Camera says I'm in focus. Interwebs say I'm not. Oh well. I think that's because my graphics card in this computer sucks. Oh well. No big deal. So, alrighty, guys. Well, I guess if you guys don't have anything else, then I am going to enjoy the rest of my weekend here, and leave you all to do the same. So, for those of you that were kind enough to support the super chat, thank you very, very, very much. And for all of you, don't forget to check out the video that's dropping first thing tomorrow morning around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, if memory serves. I honestly don't remember which video it is at this point. So, anyway, thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.